I'm Mark McAllister at Pearson Airport, where there have been more than a few passengers coming and going on these very aircraft. Some are certainly aware that those planes have been grounded elsewhere and know that flights in Canada and the U.S. continue to fly. There is at least one gentleman we spoke to flying from San Francisco. He became a little more concerned when questions were being raised mid-air.
It was interesting, surreal. So I'm getting on my news feed, the latest on Boeing and 737s and the MAX 8, and here we are. So I think one of the passengers actually asked one of the flight attendants whether or not there's any trepidation or angst, and the flight attendant, of course, said absolutely not. So yeah, it was a little bit surreal.
Did you happen to know what type of airplane you were on today?
Yeah.
And so what were your thoughts knowing that you were getting on that flight?
Well, I think Air Canada knew that the plane was safe, so they're flying them.
So you were okay with that?
Yeah, we were fine with it. Yeah, no worries at all.
If the pilots don't know about it now, then they're not paying attention.
And you were okay? You were feeling okay with it?
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns going forward?
I don't know. It's beyond my pay grade.
Hundreds of passengers reaching out to both Air Canada and WestJet online with concerns and complaints. Alicia tweeted to say that after discovering she was on an Air Canada 737 MAX, she called to change her flight to a later time and claims the agent refused. Alexandra was online. She said she would not be, quote, stuck flying this killer plane, while Louisa claims she lost her deposit to WestJet after requesting they ensure passenger safety. So, what are your rights? Air passenger rights expert Gabor Lukacs says there is very little passengers can do about the type of plane before or after they've bought a ticket.
Before they buy the ticket, it's not that easy, and even if they can, it's not binding. The airline can switch an aircraft to a different model anytime. Unfortunately, the law does not permit passengers the right to cancel or change their flights based on their personal fears of the aircraft.
WestJet telling CityNews that their flights to Europe using the 737 MAX are seasonal and won't be flying until April, adding in a statement that WestJet remains actively involved in discussions with Transport Canada, Boeing, and fellow Canadian operators of the Boeing MAX 737, and reassures our guests that employees that we will continue to fly with their safety and best interests at the forefront. Now, Air Canada has also been affected by what is happening internationally. They do have flights that are scheduled in and out of the UK that have been canceled as a result of what is happening in the airspace across the Atlantic Ocean. So what are they doing? Well, passengers have been told at this point that they can rebook their flights for a later time, and at that point they won't end up being charged, and they'll end up getting onto that later flight at a later point.